Oh no, it's exploring! It's exploring!
Welcome to No Fabs.
And needing no introduction, welcome into the channel, a legendary car, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, a legendary rally icon. This one being no different, pure breed track setup car, however it does have an issue with the downpipe. The downpipe is a terrible job and that's why it's here with us today. Our job is to rectify the exhaust.
And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get this car in the air, we're going to have a look what the issue is with the downpipe, and we're going to try our best to fix it. Now, one problem that I am seeing instantly is Simon told me this is a Pulsar PSR turbo, which is not really an issue, but I did tell him to send me the specs so I could get a flange ordered. Obviously, Simon, like me, is a busy man. I'd forgot about it until it arrived. He's obviously forgot about it. So the issue is, I'm hoping I've got a flange what works, or I can got one that I can modify on the lathe, or even better, we can save the original one, it's not warped to death. That's a path we may end up crossing later on in this video. But follow along, let's see if we can fix this problem. Let's have a little look at it. So initially from the top, cannot see a great deal, although what I can see is there is no bellow or there is no flexi in the wastegate tube to the downpipe section. So that is most likely why this won't seal. When you are welding two pieces like that, it's very hard to get them not to pull when welding it, especially when I'm looking at the welds and the welds are not looking great. We can't see a great deal from up here. Hopefully we can see more from down below. But I'm almost sure that's going to be the issue with this straight away. Looking at it, it will be completely unsavable. It will be a case of just remaking the downpipe and the wastegate section. So it seems. Let's get it up in the air. Let's have a better look at it.
That is disgustingly diabolical.
Right, look at this. We have just uncovered a masterpiece. Get camera to focus. God damn, what happened there? Who in their right mind lined that up and were just like, sweet that, send it Jim, that looks mint. Alignment on that is the worst I've ever seen, I think.
It must have been harder to get it like that than actually get it normal.
Exactly. It's so bad, it's actually it's a work of art. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, let's get that whipped off. So I'm not even sure about the best way to attempt even getting it off to start with. I think probably cut this. Oh, we got a blow there as well. Look, I didn't notice that to start with. I think the best way is probably just going to be to lock that off. Then I can get grind around this neatly and just try and let me get a light. It just, the more I look at this, I see more stuff. You see inside that downpipe. Can you see? Look at the internals of it, so that big ginormous stepwork pipe's just literally sticking inside it. It's awful, isn't it, guys? It's awful. Let's get it cut up, eh? Let's cut it up. Now, I'm going to get my safety specs on. I've seen a few of you commenting, saying about us not wearing safety specs. Well, there you go. Safety specs are on. We are going to try and be a little bit safer and a little bit more professional while we're doing these videos nowadays. Right, let's get this cut off. So there's the turbo flange off. Now at the moment it is terrible. You see we've got half of it still stuck in there. But I'm going to take that up to our lathe and I'm just going to skim it down. The reason I'm going to do it on lathe and not by hand is because doing it on the lathe I can get it true. I can get it completely true, and then I'm going to make sure it's not warped, and I'm going to make sure that this male, so you've got here, you've got a little male lip what sticks out on the flange. Now that's what makes this unique to the PSR turbo. It's got like the male locating lip what sits in a female recess on the turbo, and it'll sort of snap into position, stops it from moving around. Don't think I'm going to have any of these upstairs. I am going to have a look before I spend a while obviously modifying it. Also, I think that might be smaller than 3 inch. These are all problems we've got to get overcome. So let me go and have a look. If I haven't got one, I'll show you how we're going to save it. So I've just took this down a little bit more downstairs just to save the amount of material I've actually got to take off on the lathe. I haven't got any that'll match it, so I do think, well, we have got a fighting chance of saving it. Let's see if we can actually save it, shall we? If not, this job's going to be delayed while we order one, but I think we can save this. I think a little bit of fettling and we'll save it. Now I'm just going to put that there as a bit of security. That's just in case that flange comes loose. This bar will stop it hitting me in the face. Hopefully. Right, let's get in position. Don't laugh at my light setup. It is pretty dark where I've got my lathe, so I do have to use this little hand light. Maybe we can get it in a better position. That might be better. Look, a bit less dazzling for the camera. Hopefully you can see what we're doing. If not, well, you'll have to just see the result. Looks like we're spinning pretty true. It's a good start. Yes, it would have been easier just to buy a new flange. I can hear it all in your heads, but unfortunately, I haven't got one, and I need this job done today, really. So there you can see, I've pretty much took a lot of the road material off. Look, just need to just hammer the middle bit out, and then I'll start getting rid of all the burrs and making it look pretty. Right, and there we go. After a little bit more fettling, we've got it somewhat like. So what I've just done is I've just skimmed the actual ceiling face and the lip. Just took a little bit off the face and a little bit off the lip. That should allow this to be bang flat now and seal good on the turbo. I've also machined a little lip back into the inside of that, which is what it would have been like standard. This is just a piece of 3-inch pipe. And that, well, I did just have it in there a minute ago. I think we've got a bit of a burr. But yeah, that's going to go in. I have also cut my finger as well on a bit of sharp material. So be wary of that when you're working with sharp stuff. Yeah, we're going to just clean that burr off with deburrer downstairs. We're going to give the whole thing a bit of a wire wheel. And I think we may well have just saved that flange. We also do need to do the wastegate one, because I haven't got one of those either. But I think that'll work. I think we've saved that. Pretty sure. If I weren't confident I wouldn't use it, I'd just say, right, we're going to have to order one. But I'm pretty confident we can reuse that. So I think we're good. Sweet. Right. We'll do the other one. Do the wastegate one. Give that a wire wheel downstairs, and we'll start mocking some material up. Okay, so here's the finished products then. They are still obviously old flanges, so not ideal. If I could have got new ones, I would have done, but I need this job done today, and I can't get them in time. So we have saved the old ones. That's the wastegate flange. Now this one was in terrible shape. This one was really ovaled and everything. This one was in terrible shape. So what I've done is we've got the, trying to get the camera to focus, we've got the actual sealing surface completely flat on the lathe. We've also pushed the inner lip a little bit further back as well. So we know that the sealing face is completely flat and square as a bare minimum. That's all that matters. That's all that matters really. We're not interested in this side. This side could be looking like top of the ocean, wavy and everything. Doesn't matter as long as the sealing surface is the flat one. That's the one that needs to butt up to the wastegate itself and seal. And it will do now. I did literally flat that side off as well, but obviously you can see that I'm running out of material, so I have got to be very, very careful with how much I went. That should be okay now. As long as we weld that on our heatsink, that should be fine. Same goes for the downpipe flange. This one a little bit more tricky because it has got the male-female location set up on it. But same sort of thing again. We skimmed that horrible mess off what was in there. I did machine a little lip on the inside. I don't know if you can see it, it's here. That's how the original flange would have been. So 3-inch goes in there and stops. And then when it does that, it creates a smooth flow on the inside. You don't get a horrible lip, pretty much like that one were when we took it off. Flatted that side off again. That's the downpipe side. But the main one that's the problem is this one. This one needs to be bang flat. There was no room for error. So what we've done is I'd skimmed the inside portion as well. And then I just literally took a little bit off that one as well. Connor's just checked it on the turbo. Fits amazing. So he says, I haven't checked it myself. I will do in a second. If that fits amazing on the turbo, happy days. I know that'll work on the wastegate. We are now ready to start offering up some pipe. Let's see if we can fix this car, or let's see if we can save the turbo setup, should I say, without actually remaking the whole lot. Pretty sure we're going to. The first part of the build is going to be a tight radius 90-degree bend now. I just had a little mock-up with some little bits of scrap. Well, not scrap, they're in our off-cut box, so we use them. A 90-degree tight radius almost works perfect. Come off of that with a 30-degree bend. I'm going to say it's pretty much lines into that flange absolutely perfect. Now we are going to see very shortly, we are just having to spin wastegate a little bit because wastegate just catches on top of this. We are also going to have to come up with some sort of a heat sink in a little bit to weld this, because we really don't want to weld don't want to warp the flange. If we warp the flange, we're back to square one. But that's the whole idea of the lip, what's on the inside. So you see the little lip what I machined on the inside, if the camera will focus on it and not my face, hang on. There you go. You see the lip what I machined on the inside? That allows the pipe to actually go inside the flange, and then the transition
is seamless. There is no lip. That also does help with warping. That should stop it warping a little tiny little bit. But yeah, we're just going to offer this up to the car now. We're going to see if that 30 works. Pretty sure it's going to. If it does, we'll get all this welded up first, and then we're going to deal with that transition from the wastegate. So the wastegate, we don't want no horrible 90 degree like it was before. We want to try and come in at a nice smooth angle, and we also need to incorporate a flexi into that.
I've got it in there, but it's created its own problem. So that is a 90 degree tight radius into a 30 degree. I had to alter the 30 degree angle slightly to more like a 25 degree, something like that. But it's created its own problem. So we're too close to the sump here. We're not touching it, but we've almost got a fag paper gap between the sump and that, which is no good. So we cannot get that any tighter radius than that, not without doing anything freaky and affecting flow, which obviously we don't want to do. Plan is we need to get this out of here and also into this downpipe somewhere along this line. At the moment, I'm not too sure how that's going to go. We've got to get a flexi in there as well, which is here. So as you can see, flexi, and trying to get the flexi and everything in there will be crazy tight. So I think what we might do, plan B. I think plan B is going to be either we come like the original one was, just better. We come down and round and we put the sort of the flexi in here and try and come in at a different angle, get rid of this flange altogether and just sort of link onto exhaust further down. I think that's probably going to be what we end up doing in this situation. I think that's going to be what we have to do. So we're going to lose the flange altogether. We're going to cut the exhaust around there on that black line. And may well put a V-band on this, may not, I don't know, we'll see. But what essentially is we need to move everything that way and we need to create room to get this flexi in there. So we could come down there at an angle like that, we could get that flexi in there, that wouldn't be too much trouble. It's then obviously we've got to link to the tube, and where I need to merge into the tube will be exactly where that flange is. So the flange is going to have to go. It's not an end of the world to it. I don't like the flange anyway. Look at it. I'm doing all this nice job and I really don't want to be linking to that crap anyway. So it's not the end of the planet. So I think that's what we're going to do. Let's just commit to it, shall we? Let's get it off, get it cut, and then we're committed, aren't we then? And that's that. We've got that front portion all now mocked together to something like, the next part is going to be sort of trying to get this wastegate tube on there at a nice angle. Now, although we are coming in at a 90 degree angle, we're going to try and make it a nice 90 degree angle, if that makes sense. So the old one just basically went through like that and stuck through inside the tube like that, created a horrible lip on the inside. We don't want that. We want to try and get it as close to the internal part of the bend. So what I mean is I want the flow to come down and just drop into the downpipe. I don't want it to come in at a 90 degree angle like that and then have to do a 90 degree turn into flow at downpipe. I want it to sort of come down and kind of flow into downpipe. But I'm not best at explaining things. I'm just going to have to show you with actions rather than words. But that's what we want. We want it to come down and sort of flow into downpipe rather than going 90 degree into flow. So what I've done is I've just grabbed another bend out of the bend box, just so I'm not having to mess about going to and from car as much. We'll get it somewhere close and then we'll try it on the car. So the 90 degree bend for the wastegate tube has obviously got to merge into the downpipe tube, but we are not going parallel to the tube like that. You'll see there I've put a line on it. That's because the downpipe sort of comes down at an angle. So we've got to merge this pipe onto that, kind of following that black line angle that you can just see there. Look, we're kind of coming at an angle. So when we get to the point where we're ready to notch the bottom of it, where we've got to make it so it fits on there without rolling like that, that's what we need to take into account, the direction where we need to be pointing. Also, the flex is going to go on the top of it. Now, before everyone starts crying, saying, oh, you should be using a bellow, this, that, and other. Bellows, yes, bellows are technically better, but because bellows are a little bit more rigid, I'm not too sure what the aim of this car is. I don't know whether it's a time attack car or what. It looks a little bit like that. I'm not too sure. If that's the case, a lot of racers opt to go for these ones because they handle vibration a lot better and they don't crack and fail as often. It'll do the job just fine. Would I have liked to use a bellow? Yes, it would have looked nicer, the weld nicer, all of that. I didn't even know the wastegate size. The car came to me, I didn't even know the wastegate size, I didn't know the flange size, so as you can see, I've had a bit of a nightmare. I've kind of got to use what I've got in stock at the moment. But that's now's plan. We need to get this trimmed down, get it so we can merge onto that pipe at a nice angle, see how we get it. There you can see now, we're already looking a lot more like a nice merge. Now we do need to tweak the angles a little bit because I'm not happy with the angles. I'll just pan you up a little bit, you're looking at my feet. We do need to just get the angles a little bit better. I'd like that to be more parallel with the pipe like that, but I have also got to check it on the car. Need to make sure the flex is not going to become an issue. And we do need to weld all downpipe before we put this on, because it's going to limit us getting to the welds if not. But I mean, already it's looking like a better flowing integrated tube, if you understand what I mean. So already way better. Now I'm going to get it so it's absolutely perfect. We're not going to rush this. We're going to take a lot of time. We're going to make sure that this transition into that downpipe is absolutely seamless. So you can see things are starting to come together a little bit now. This is all just tacked together still. We're not even tacked to this V-band just yet, but this is now tacked to the top flange on the wastegate up here. It's so tight I can't get my hands in, never mind you guys as well. But that's sort of in the position we want now. This is still not part of the downpipe yet. We haven't even drilled a hole in it yet. The plan is now we're going to weld this up completely, just because we don't want anything to pull, because if anything pulls on this, I can guarantee you it will be a nightmare. What I mean by pulling is stainless. Sometimes when you weld it together, everything can pull. So even if one of these joints just pulls like 1/4 millimeter, and then that one pulls 1/4 millimeter, and then that one pulls 1/4 millimeter, before you know it, you're 2 millimeters difference. And 2 millimeters is a lot when you're working from two flange to two flanges. So what I mean by that is when I've got to get the wastegate flange and the downpipe flange to seal, the only thing what will be have a bit of forgiveness in it will be the flexi. So everything's got to be almost perfect. So we're going to weld them up now. This bit's going to get welded as well. Going to weld the downpipe, then the last bit will be to cut a hole in the downpipe, get it all absolutely perfect shaped, and yeah, weld that together and hope it fits. Final leg then, all this nicely welded up. We've left that end one on purpose just because I didn't want to melt masking tape when we were trying to purge it. So what we'll do is we'll tack it to that V-band and then we'll put a purge blocking end of that. We'll obviously just get another half for a V-band from upstairs, that'll be sorted. This is the main event then, this bit. So this bit is all welded, look, the top bit is welded. It's welded to the top at flexi, it's welded to the bottom at flexi. The main event then now is we need to cut a hole in this downpipe. Where that hole is, we've drawn around it already. And then what we'll do is, once we're happy with that, we'll bring it back on the car, tack it on the car, take it off, weld around that, and hopefully, just hopefully, it'll all fit back on as it does now, which looks pretty sick, I think you'll agree. The only thing we do need to do is put a lander sensor boss in there, which we will do also. Let's get cutting then. Here's the final bit of the journey. There we go then. No going back now, we are committed. Big hole cutting it to the right shape. Should be just a fraction smaller than the pipe itself, and as we weld it and we purge it, we should get a nice weld round inside, but we shall see, won't we? Well, there it is. There's the final piece to the puzzle. Downpipe, I must say, I feel like we might have done a little bit of a better job than the last guys who did it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. All fully welded up, absolutely beautiful fit ups all round, all fully back purged. The inside of it, let me get a light and I'll show you. The inside of it, it looks beautiful also. You can see in there, look, all fully purged. Absolutely beautiful welds, inside and out. So the last thing to do is to get it on the car. Let's see if it still fits. If anything's going to have pulled, it will have been the wastegate tube, but that's where the flexi comes in, gives you a little bit of forgiveness. Also, the wastegate will spin left to right. I'm 95% sure this is going to fit, but let's get it on and then we'll see. Then we'll give it a little fire up, shall we? See what it sounds like. Fits like an absolute dream, like you wouldn't believe it. All just snapped together, absolutely lovely. So there's the final product, folks. And there's only one thing left to do. Let's let car down, let's have a listen and make sure it's not blowing, seeing as that was the entire problem to begin with. They could not get both of them to seal. They could not get the downpipe flange and the wastegate flange to seal simultaneously because it was a crap job. Now there shouldn't be an issue, but let's fire it up, let's have a listen and make sure. The proof is in the pudding. There's no blows on that exhaust, that sounds an absolute dream. Happy days. I thoroughly hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It's a little bit different, something not exactly the same, is it? It's we can't drive this car, sadly. It is a thoroughbred track car, so it seems. It's not had an MOC on it for many, many years. Yeah, hopefully Simon down at Norton Tuning will be happy with that job. Pretty sure they will be very happy with that job compared to what we were dealing with before. They can get this car finished up tuning wise now, and he can get back to doing whatever they're doing with it, whether it's tracking it or what. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't know if it's a project. I don't know if it's going back on the road. I genuinely don't know this customer at all. It's come from a friend of mine, which is Simon at Norton Tuning. So shout out to them lads. If you've got any Jap cars into your tuning stuff, 100% give Simon a call. Knows his stuff with his Jap cars. I feel bad for him working on Evos every day, because every single Evo we work on, I don't want to tar all of them with the same brush, but 85% of them are nails, absolutely thrown together. Must just be the Evo life. Then we're going to wrap that video up there. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.